So how do I find the one that's right for me? Well, stick around and I'm going to tell you exactly that. What's up? I'm Corlandos Scott, and I'm a surrogacy attorney who's dedicated his practice for almost the last decade solely to assisted reproduction. And I've seen people work with the good surrogacy agencies, and I've seen people work with the not so good surrogacy agencies. And in this video, we're going to show you exactly how to choose the right one. We're going to talk about three main things. We're going to talk about the most important factor in finding an agency. We're going to talk about what to do once you think you found the right agency. And we're going to also talk about what to do before you sign on that dotted line. Stick around. So what's the most important factor in your search for a surrogacy agency? Well, I'd say it's number one, research. Number two, research. And number three, it's definitely research. When I say research, one of the things you want to research is whether you're working in a surrogacy-friendly state. In another video, I talked to you about where in the United States surrogacy may or may not be legal. And so you want to make sure that when you're working with an agency, you're working with an agency that either practices in a surrogacy-friendly state or an agency from one state has access to surrogates in a surrogacy-friendly state. If your surrogate isn't in a surrogacy-friendly state, if your agency isn't in a surrogacy-friendly state, then you want to make sure that you're at least in a surrogacy-friendly state, or more specifically, where the surrogate will receive medical treatment, and that could be either the embryo transfer or also where she plans to deliver the baby. But you've got to be connected to somewhere that allows you to go through the surrogacy process, and you want to be clear on how that affects whether your surrogacy journey will be valid or invalid. Once you've found the surrogacy-friendly state that you're going to be crafting your surrogacy journey around and working in, you want to make sure that the surrogacy agency within those states are fully vetted. So you want to do your homework on exactly who they are and what they stand for. And let's talk about that. Of course, you can go on the internet and do a Google search for surrogacy agencies, and you can click the links and find out more. But make sure that you don't base your decision solely on a shiny website. You know, websites and web developers are good enough these days, and the cost of entry is so low that almost anyone can have a decent looking website. The website doesn't make the agency, trust me. What you want to do is engage in other online research tools like forums, like review sites. You can often go on these sites and find out what other people are saying about different agencies, the experience that other hopeful parents had working with a particular agency. You can also go on forums that have surrogates, and surrogates can tell you about their experience with certain agencies. At the very least, get some information from other humans outside of what that agency's website says about itself. Lastly, if they fit the bill based on what you've read on their website, based on some reviews on the internet, maybe Google, maybe Yelp, if they fit the criteria that you found favorable from people giving you advice from forums or individuals who've worked with the agency in the past, then take the next step and schedule a consultation with that agency. You've got to talk to them for yourself. Oftentimes, it comes down to personalities. Again, every agency is created differently. So while there may be an agency that's good for one person, doesn't necessarily mean that that agency would be good for another hopeful parent. Just like individuals in friendships and relationships, there are different personalities behind these businesses, and you want to make sure that their personality and professional outlook fits your personality and your needs. Now let's go deeper into what to do once you think you found the right agency for you. But before I do one quick thing. Look below, yeah, right below, and smash that subscribe button. Like, you know, destroy it. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Because if you want to know more about this, I give all types of information in my other videos, and you don't want to miss them. And while you're at it, make sure to click the little bell beside the subscribe button so you can make sure to get alerts when I release new videos. You don't want to miss anything. So you found the right agency for you, huh? Well, this is what you should do next before you're absolutely sure of yourself. you want to first make sure you understand the scope of services that that agency is going to provide you. As I mentioned, all agencies aren't created equally. Some agencies only provide matching services, meaning they say, I'm going to match you with a hopeful, potential, decent, fitting surrogate, but that's all they do. After that, they wash their hands and let you do the rest of the job. There are some agencies who carry you the entire way. They say, we will match you, we'll also organize all of the appointments, we'll manage the payment requests, we'll be there with you on delivery day. Make sure you know what your agency is providing. There are also some agencies that provide pre-screening services. So before they ever match you with a potential surrogate, they've already done the medical screening and the psychological screening and run background checks. Yeah, criminal background checks on the surrogates prior to even presenting them to you. And then there are many agencies that wait until you see or choose a potential surrogate to then run them through those pre-screenings and evaluations and background checks. While I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way to do it, I just want to make sure that you know what you're getting before you sign on. The next thing you want to make sure you know about are the timelines. And what do I mean by timelines? Most agencies, and hint, hint, you should probably suggest that your agency follow this structure. Most agencies, they set their pay or their compensation schedule, or their payment schedule rather, on a timeline where one of the payments is due up front so that they can source and find you a potential surrogate. The second payment is due after some benchmark, like matching with the surrogate, or her passing her medical and psychological evaluation, or her getting through the legal process. So you want to make sure that you understand when payments are due to your agency, if they break their payment up into milestones, or if they require you to pay all the payment right up front. Another hint, pro tip, if they require all payment up front, you may want to ask some questions. The one thing you don't want to happen is what happened to one of my former clients. I had a client who came to me almost in tears after something had gone terribly wrong. I asked, what happened? They said the agency promised to match us with a surrogate, and every surrogate they sent us failed the preliminary screening. We were tired of it. We wanted our money back and we wanted to go somewhere else. But the agency said, nope, you don't get any refunds. So we were stuck having spent thousands of dollars and left with nothing. Well, thankfully, I was able to work with the parents to get the money back that they had spent. But at that point, they were out of time, they were emotionally drained, and of course, they had to pay an attorney to help them out. Well, I want to save you all that time and heartache beforehand. So please, 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 make sure you know the scope of services and when the money is due to the agency you think you found. Some of the other things you want to look for when you're trying to match or you think you found the right agency is how do they select the surrogates that they keep on their roster, so to speak, or the surrogates that they present to you? What types of background checks do they do on their potential candidates before they add them to the roster? Also, what do they require in the way of intended parents? You know, every agency has their own philosophy, but some of them also require for you to meet certain criteria. So you want to know if you meet their criteria. Now, there's no one who can tell you whether or not you deserve to be a parent, and rightfully so. But there are some agencies that have certain qualifications that they like to see. One of the things you also want to make sure of is how does the agency address what we call the surrogates benefit package. Now, the surrogates benefits package is a document, a short document that outlines what it requires or what it takes financially to match with this surrogate. One of the things that I've seen with some agencies that bugs me is that they don't get the parents and the surrogate to review the benefits package prior to matching. The benefits package is really what I as an attorney use to draft the long form contract. Because in that benefits package, you already know what the base compensation of the surrogate should be, whether she gets lost wages in case she's taken off work and put on bed rest, does she get any allowance for monthly incidentals? All those types of things, from reimbursements to the cost of insurance, are going to be covered in that benefits package. Make sure your agency is very clear about that benefits package and make sure that the surrogate has already seen it and signed on to it, because you don't want any surprises when you get to the contract phase and you get a contract that says, oh, she wants this. The benefits package said she wanted something else. So make sure you know about that benefits package. Also, another really cool thing that some agencies provide is counseling services for both the surrogate and the intended parent. And you may say, why do I need counseling services? Well, for anyone who's lived through a pandemic, we all need counseling, to be honest with you. But in surrogacy, throughout a pregnancy, there's often a lot of emotions. There's definitely hormones that are running high, and there's a lot of heart that's pumped into the process. And from time to time, you just need to talk to someone, especially when you're the parents and you're trying to figure out how to navigate this relationship that isn't as normal as most people would think with someone else carrying your baby. So it's a really cool perk that some agencies provide. So look out for that when you're choosing an agency. Do they provide counseling services? Do they provide support groups for their surrogates and for their intended parents? It's an awesome perk, and it would be great if you could find an agency that provided that. Now let's talk about what to watch out for before you sign on that dotted line. Listen, I know you're excited. I know you think you found the agency. I know that, they passed all those questions that I mentioned earlier and they look really good, but wait. Don't sign yet, because I want you to make sure that you watch out for these potential red flags. In that document that you'll be signing, which is the agency's retainer agreement or their contract for services or whatever they call it, the thing that you'll sign before you hand them a check, I want you to look for a few things. I want you to look for any vagueness in terms around when they should get their compensation, when they should get payment. And I want you to look for vagueness in terms around when you'll be charged for things, when those charges will be due, and what services exactly you're getting for those charges. If there's anything that seems vague, don't sign. Address the vagueness. Make sure we can be specific. What exactly are you getting for your hard-earned money? Also look for any vagueness in their accountability. We want to make sure that we can hold them accountable for the services that they say they will provide. So you want to make sure you know exactly when you're going to get reports, exactly how they're going to be following up on the process, exactly when you should expect certain things to occur, and who's going to let you know when those things have occurred. You don't want anything to sneak up on you in the surrogacy process. So look for that in the contract and make sure they address it. I know it's been said before, but it's true. If it looks like promises are too good to be true, they probably are. Now, with that being said, I work with some amazing agencies that offer amazing services. Like I mentioned, the counseling services and perks like that. But make sure that if your agency promises you a child, that you step back and wonder, can you actually perform on that? There are also some agencies that provide money-back guarantees. I've seen agencies that do things that aren't so wild and wacky, like if you have a failed transfer or if there's a miscarriage, we will rematch you for free. So look for things like that and make sure that they're very clear on what happens if the process doesn't work perfectly like we hope it does. What I'm really saying here is make sure you know what you're getting into. I've had clients that come to me and say, Corlandos, I reached out to my agency and they tell me they can't find my surrogate. And I think, what do you mean they can't find your surrogate? They should always be able to make contact with your surrogate and always make sure that there's a line of communication between the three of you, the agency, and the surrogate. So just make sure you know what you're getting into. And I want to say this. I am not saying anything negative about surrogacy agencies. I absolutely love agencies. They make my job much more easy and they make your life easier. And a good agency is worth its weight in gold. I'll say that again. A good agency is worth its weight in gold, but a bad agency can create a nightmare scenario for you. So one of the things that I always advise my clients, and I know it sounds self-serving because I'm an attorney, but I always say get your attorney first. The first thing you should do in the surrogacy process is find an attorney. Why? Well, you're going to have to get one anyway. Most states require by law that both parties be represented by a surrogacy attorney. So you may as well have an attorney on board at the very beginning. and have an attorney who's willing to walk through this agency paperwork, an attorney who's willing to look at your clinic consent forms and all that, and that can help you navigate the process of finding the right agency for you. I'm confident that with a little work, you'll find the surrogacy agency that's right for you. And to help you along that path, I've created something just for you. I've created a free training that I call my 3 T's to surrogacy. And it's the 3 steps to have a successful surrogacy journey without losing sleep, time, or money. The 3 T's stand for team, terms, and tact. And if you click the link below, you'll get taken to that training for free, and you'll know exactly how to implement these 3 T's in order to help you find the right agency and take one step further down a successful surrogacy path.